Messages. Phone. Page 3 of 3. Social. Entertain. Music. Games folder. 111. Opening games folder. Blindfold bowling. Page 1 of 3. Page 2. Page 5. Page 6. Page 7. Page 11 of 3. Page 12. Page 13. See Eternal. Swamp Castle. Swamp Castle. Home. 49. Welcome back. Error. Settings. But about. Subscribe. More games. But share. Button. Upgrade. But restart. Dimmed. Play. Button. Play. You are a newly appointed lord in charge of a small castle. Manage your castle's finances. Tale of a Kingdom. Swamp is an interactive bullet. Manage the economy. No. Text field. No. Restore purchases. Link. No. Thanks. Restore. If you've already purchased, click here to restore. No. Thanks. I'll wait through the app. Welcome to Tale of a Kingdom. Swamp. A9. Unauthorized access. Swamp. App switcher. Swamp. Close. Activate. Default. A9. Watermarks. Watermarks V1. A. Unauthorized. Unauthorized access. Watermark. App switcher. Swamp. Games. Heading. Page 13 of 30. See Eternal. Swamp Castle. Swamp Castle. Home. Play. Restart. Play. Button. Welcome to Tale of a Kingdom. Swamp Castle. Swamp Castle. Next. Text field. Next. Button. Next. Hard. Radio button. Unchecked. Norm. Easy. Radio button. Checked. 1. Norm. Hard. Radio. Next. Button. You have. Show stats. You have chosen to play on easy. Next. Button. This story takes place in the Kingdom of Magensia, a small yet influential kingdom known for its brave knights and powerful magicians. The Kingdom of Magensia is made up of 5 provinces and the central province is called Kingstown. The eastern province is mostly flatlands, the south is one of the most populated. The Kingdom of Magensia is ruled by a shrewd king named Gareth III. According to historical scholars, he gained his power by winning the hearts and minds of his people. In reality, his true rise to power was largely based on his political savvy, bribes. You have recently been given a lordship in the westernmost province of the kingdom. This province is known mostly for its swamplands and next button. Actually, it begs the question, ellipsis, how exactly did you receive your lordship? I worked my way up the ranks and proved my loyalty to the king. Radio button. Check. I was a knight who fought so heroically in I worked my way up the ranks and I come from a noble household. I was a humble peasant. Next button. Ah yes. You worked your way up the ranks and waited several years before being given the opportunity of such an honor. The king no doubt wanted to award your years of loyalty, so he gave you this lordship. What would you say is your strongest trait? My strength and my agility. Radio button. My intelligence. Radio button. My agility. Radio button. Unchecked. 2. My ability to lead. I am an excellent. My ability to lead others. Radio button. I am an excellent diplomat. Radio button. I am able to move around with. Next button. The king has managed to maintain his control for this long, and there is no doubt with your help the kingdom will continue to prosper. Next button. You arrive at your castle expecting a large gathering, but only a few servants and the castle's advisor are there to greet you. You wonder where all the people are. Where is everyone? Where is my parade? Didn't you know I was coming? Radio button. Checked. 1 of 3. Well, maybe it is better this way. No need for a spectacle. Radio button. Stay silent. Radio button. Unchecked. Next button. Stay. Well, maybe it. Where is everyone? Well, where is everyone? Well, stay silent. Next button. Your advisor speaks up. I'm sorry, my lord. The last lord did not keep this castle in very good condition. Most of the peasants left as a result. Next button. You walk down a long hallway. There is moss and cracked stone all throughout the castle. This castle is in a terrible state. Next button. Once inside, your advisor asks the following question. How should I address you, my lord? What is your name? Text field. Double tap to edit. Next button. Text field. Next button. Alert. Don't just leave it blank. OK button. Home. Swamp Castle. Heading. Home. Back button. Next. Text field. Next button. Text field. Double tap to text field is edit. Insertion point at end. Inserted Christopher. Next button. Previous. Next button. This place is a mess. Is there anything we can do? Radio button. Unchecked. You can start by no longer refer to. Welcome Christopher to Swamp Castle. As you can see, the castle is not in the best condition, but it has not been properly You can start by no longer refer to my castle as Swamp Castle. Radio button. Checked. 1 of 2. This place is a mess. Is there anything we can do? Radio button. Next. Text field. Next button. We have already begun to start repairs. Hopefully in a few weeks' time everything will be in order. Next button. We have a next button. Lord Christopher, would you like to know more about the history of this castle and its people? Yes. Radio button. Checked. 1 of 3. Yeah. No. Radio button. Next. But text field. Next button. Okay. Ellipsis. Let's see where to begin. What would you like to know? How old is this castle? Radio. What resources does this castle and surrounding lands have? What is your role here? Radio button. What resources does this castle and surrounding lands have? Radio button. Unchecked. 2 of 4. What? Let's move on. We can discuss the history of this place more at a later time. Radio button. Unchecked. 4. Check. Next button. A guard opens the door and walks up to you respectfully. My liege, this letter arrived for you. There are also some subjects waiting to speak to you. Next button. What do you do? Read the letter, radio button, checked. Who wishes to see me, radio button, unchecked. 2 of 3. Checked. Send in the subjects, radio button, next, button. The following individuals have requested an audience with you, my liege. The merchant Edward. The farmer, the master, next, but text field, next, button. What do you do? Read the letter, radio. Who wishes to see me, radio. Send in the subjects, radio button. Checked, next, button. Lord, you haven't read your letter from the king yet. Are you sure you want to send in the subjects? Yes, I could care less about the letter. Send in the No, I will read the letter, radio button, unchecked. 2 of 2. Check, next, button. Your advisor looked relieved. Next, button. Your advisor looked relieved. Next, button. Show stats. What do you do? Read the letter, radio button, checked. 1 of 3. Who wishes? Send in the subjects, radio, next, button. My dear friend, it is with great pleasure I bestow upon you this lordship. I know it has been a long time coming, and I appreciate your loyalty and hard work. I would have given you a bigger command, but as you know I am constantly dealing with politics and squabbling nobles, this is the best I can do. Enclosed is a note of credit from the royal treasury for 1,000 gold pieces. Sincerely, King Gareth III. Well, it is a note from the king himself. I knew he appreciated my years of service. Next, button. What do you do? Read the letter, radio. Who wishes to see me? Send in the subjects, radio button. Next, text field, next, button. You order the guard to bring in the first subject. This should be interesting. Next, button. A merchant dressed in fine clothing walks in. He politely bows and introduces himself. My liege, I am Edward of Thornbury. I am a merchant with many trade connections throughout the kingdom. If you would allow me to be frank, I do not believe this area offers any resources of real value. However, its location could be considered quite valuable. It borders the neighboring kingdom of Galmencio. I think with the proper amount of investment I could turn this castle into the main hub of trading in the region. As you may already be aware, Galmencio stones are in huge demand all throughout. You have 1,000 gold pieces in the treasury. Sounds splendid. Here, take 500 gold pieces and get it. Excellent idea. Take 250 gold. I am only willing to make a small investment at this time. I will give you 100 gold pieces to set up a small trading post. If it is successful, I will consider giving you more gold. Not interested. If you wish to take a gamble, then invest your own money. Radio. Check. Next, button. What do you think I am a bank? You tell the merchant to leave. The merchant looks angry and to your surprise he doesn't leave. Next, button. Sir, I do not think you understand. This is precisely why the current castle is in such shambles. A lord must take risks. Don't you understand this? Flog him for his impudence. Radio button. Order him to leave. Radio button. Next, button. Order him to leave. Radio button. Next, button. You order the guard to escort the merchant out, and to send in the next subject. Next, button. Next, a peasant walks in. From his straw hat and clean yet poorly made clothes, you can tell that this man is no noble, but he is at least trying his best to be presentable. Next, button. The man walks up quietly. He does not look at you directly when he speaks. My liege, I have been elected as the main spokesman for the farmers that still remain here. As I am sure you are aware, this area does not offer the best farming conditions, and many of my fellow farmers have left as a result. We are in dire need of investment to make anything substantial here. We want to hire workers to drain the bogs and swamplands. Only then can we set up proper farming land. We estimate it would take at least 250 gold pieces to clear the area we would need. Once you have 1,000 gold pieces in the treasure. Yes, you have my permission. Here is 250 gold pieces. It seems like too much trouble. From what I understand, the swamplands are considered sacred and bring in a good amount of tourism. I strictly forbid you do any such thing. Dimmed. Radio but next button. The farmer looks happy. Thank you, my liege. Next button. Next walks in your master builder. Show stats. Next. Hello, my liege. We currently have 5 workers in our employ. Given the manpower, we can only concentrate on repairing one thing this week. What should it be? You have 750 gold piece. What? You have the castle. It is in shambles. Cost 250 GP. Radio button. Check. The outer walls. Defense is paramount. The castle. It is in shambles. The main village. We need to. I will not accept that. Nothing. Radio button. Next button. Very well. We will repair the castle. Next button. Next button. Text field. Next. No taxes. Radio but low, medium taxes, high taxes. You have 500 gold pieces in the treasury. Your advisor speaks up. Oh, before I forget, Lord Christopher, how should we tax the surrounding villages? You have high taxes. Radio button. Checked. 1 of 4. No taxes. Next button. We are in dire needs of funds. We need to raise the taxes if this place is going to turn around. Next chapter. Button. The advisor tells you that there is further court business to discuss. Well, it went reasonably well. Radio button. Checked. 1 of 3. Thank goodness. Next button. You tell your advisor that you think you could get used to this. Now that you have completed all the business for today, ellipsis, how would you like to spend the rest of your time? I want to get to know my subjects. Radio. Spend time with your advisor. Walk around and make sure your orders are followed to the letter. Radio. Rest. Radio button. Unchecked. Next button. Rest. Radio button. Checked. Next button. Resting will restore some of your health, but it will also be the last thing you do today. Are you sure you want to spend the rest of the... Yes. Radio button. Checked. 1 of... Next button. You decide to rest. Next chapter. Button. After a long day, you go to your bedchamber and fall asleep. Next button. Day breaks, you look outside your castle window and see peasants moving around getting ready for the day. It dawns on you that the people you are looking at are your people and your responsibility. Suddenly there is a knock on your door, ellipsis. Next, button. What do? Open the door, radio button. Ask who it is, radio. Open the door, radio button. Checked, 1 of 2. Ask who it is, radio button. Next, button. It is Larry, sir. Show stat. It is, okay, ellipsis. Open the door, radio button. Checked, 1 of 2. And, ellipsis. Next, button. You open, show stats. You open the door and you see a servant standing outside. He tells you that you are being summoned to the Great Hall. Nice to meet you, Larry, radio button. Checked, 1 of 2. When I ask you who you are, state your position and name, fool, radio button. Unchecked, next, button. Larry beams. Thank you, Lord Christopher, ellipsis. He suddenly realizes that you have no idea who he is. Next, button. Oh, I am one of your servants from court. I am here to advise you on various matters. Right now you are being summoned, ellipsis. He begins to walk down the stairs expecting you to follow. Go to the Great Hall to find out what is happening. I am being summoned, ellipsis. Who dares to summon me? Radio button. Next, button. I go to the Great Hall to find out what is happening. Radio button. Checked, 1 of 2. I am, next, button. You decide to walk to the Great Hall to see what is going on. Next, button. You walk down to the Great Hall. Waiting for you is a nobleman in a fine red robe. He appears to be holding a staff of some kind. You sit down and he shows you a royal seal proving he was indeed sent from the king. He tells you that he was sent to assess you and to report back to the king. Your advisor whispers that this man is known as Jensa and a powerful politician in the kingdom. Okay, ellipsis, radio button, checked, 1 of 2. Tell him he is not needed, radio button, next, button. He nods, and says, by the way, my name is Jensa. It is a pleasure to meet you. Next, button. He pulls out a parchment, ellipsis. Next, button. How have you improved your fiefdom? I have started repairs on the castle's interior, dimmed, radio button, I have started repairs on the castle's interior. I have decided to let the farmers own the land they farm. I have inspired the I have hired a powerful warrior. The people that is, next, button. A jester could have done that. Anything else? Next, button. Next. I have raised taxes, radio button, unchecked, 11 of 19. I have raised taxes, I have raised taxes, radio button. I have raised taxes, radio button. I have raised taxes. Next, button. Not what I would have done, but all right. Anything else? Next, button. Next, not what next, button. Next. I have raised taxes. I have 500 gold pieces in the treasury. I have raised taxes. Dimmed. I have temporarily suspended taxes. Dimmed. I lowered taxes. Dimmed. I have discovered a bandit's lair. Dimmed. I have inspired the guards. Radio button. I have hired additional workers to speed up repairs. Dimmed. I have inspired the merchants. I have inspired the peasants. Dimmed. I have decided to let the farmers own the land they farm. Dimmed. Radio button. I have temporarily. I have next button. Next. Good. Anything else? Next button. Good. Next button. Next. I have 500 gold. I have raised taxes. I have 500 gold pieces in the treasury. Radio button. Checked. I have temporarily suspended taxes. Space. Next button. Good to see you haven't spent it all yet, but not really an accomplishment. Anything else? Next button. How have you improved your fiefdom? I have started repairs on the castle's interior. I have begun to fortify the castle's outer walls. Dimmed. Radio. I have decided to let the farmers own the land they farm. Dimmed. I have inspired the peasants. Dimmed. Radio button. Unchecked. 4 of 9. I have raised taxes. Dimmed. Radio. I have raised taxes. That is next button. That is all I can think of right now. Ellipsis. That is all I can check. The people. That is next button. It sounds like you haven't done much at all, Jensa says in disgust. If I was lord of this castle, I would have done much more than that. Try to think of other things you have done. Radio button. Checked. 1 of 2. Explain to him that you have only been lord of this castle for 1 day. Radio button. Unchecked. Next button. Jensa looks at you annoyed. I think what a lord does on his first day tells a lot about his ability to lead. Ellipsis. He writes something down. Ellipsis. Next button. I see. Show stats. I see court is about to begin and you have visitors. Do you mind if I stay and watch you in action? By all means. Radio button. Checked. 1 of 2. If you must. Ellipsis. Next button. He show stats. He takes a seat. Next button. The next page will display the kingdom summary screen. It will show some statistics about your fiefdom. Since this is your first time seeing it, would you be interested in a detailed Yes. Radio button. Checked. 1 of. No. Next button. Yes. I will show stats. Yes. I will review the kingdom summary screen. Next button. The kingdom summary shows how many people live in your domain and what resources you currently have. To help you understand, here are some information regarding units. Peasants. Peasants are the backbone of your fiefdom. For every peasant you earn a certain amount in taxes. The amount you gain depends on the level. Militia. These are peasants that are trained for war. Guards. Guards protect your castle, but they can also be used in warfare as men of arms. They are peasants, militia, guard, knights. Knights are legion, merchants, farmers, druid, magicians, archers. These are highly trained and highly specialized warriors that work, thief, bandits, bandit, other, rule, tax rate, per peasant. There are, if any, next, button. 0, 11 farmers. 1 merchants, 11, 0 magicians. 5, 0, other, 3, rule is 500 gold. Rule is not secure. 500 gold. Higher militia, 10 GP, radio button, checked. 1, high taxes. Higher 10 militia, higher 5 guards, 250 GP, radio button, unchecked. Higher knights, 100 GP, radio button. Higher merchants, 50 GP, radio button, unchecked. 6 of 4. Check. Higher 10 farm, higher archer, higher 5 arch, higher worker, higher, done, next, button, done. Done, radio, checked. Higher 5 workers, done, next, button, done, next, button. Next, button. You have 1701 now in the treasury. Next, button. What should the tax rate be? High taxes, medium taxes, high taxes, radio button. Low, no taxes, radio, next, button. We are in, show stats, we are in dire needs of funds. We will have high taxes. As you finish reviewing your kingdom's finances, a guard approaches you. Next, button. Sir, show stat, sir, we have a farmer who was unable to pay his tithes. Wanting to see you. Normally we wouldn't bring such a trivial thing to your attention, but the farmer's story is rather outrageous. We think he is lying, but he swears he is telling the truth. Yes, let's see what he has to say. What makes you think he's lying? Radio button, unchecked. 2 of. No, ellipsis, I am too busy for such trivial things. Radio button, unchecked. 3 of 3. Next, button. Unchecked. Send a knight to do nothing. Radio button, unchecked. Send a knight to find the bandit's lair. Dimmed. Send guard. Negotiate with the bandits. Dimmed. What would the guard sends the farmer away? A guard walks in. Sir, one of our caravans was attacked by bandits. The raids have increased as of what would send guards to send a knight to find the bandit's lair. Dimmed. Radio button, unchecked. 3 of 7. Send guards to find out where the bandits call their home. Requires 10 guards. Radio button. Do nothing. Radio button. Send guards with the trade caravans to protect them. Requires 5 guards. Radio button. Send a knight to find the bandit's lair. Dimmed. Radio button, unchecked. Unchecked. Do not send. Hire. Send guards to find out where the bandits call their home. Requires 10 guards. Negotiate with the bandits. Dimmed. What would you like to do? Negotiate with the bandits. Dimmed. Do nothing. Radio button. Send guards with the trade caravans to protect them. Requires 5 guards. Hire adventurers to find and defeat the bandits. Costs 500 gold. Radio button. Actually, I already know where the bandits HQ is. Ellipsis. Dimmed. Radio button. Unchecked. 7 of 7. Next button. Your guards engage a group of bandits in the field. Your guards are well trained and defeat them, but there are still a couple casualties. Eventually you find the bandits HQ. The fight is vicious and you lose more guards, but at least you have won the battle. Next button. Next button. Bribe them. 100 GP. Do nothing. Execute anyone found. Send a knight to send guards to negotiate with the thief. Hire adventurers to actually I may have. Next the guard speaks about show stats, but next the guard speaks about thieves in the city and rumors of them forming a thieves guild. Actually I may have some information useful in finding the thieves guild. Ellipsis. Dimmed. Radio but hire adventurers to find and destroy. Negotiate. Send guards to find. Send a knight to find the execute anyone found stealing. Radio button. Unchecked. 6 of it. Next button. There are less thieves in the streets, but some still continue to steal. Next button. A cleric approach. You have 17. A cleric approaches in white cloak. He wants to set up a small chapter of clerics in the city, but it will require substantial funds. You have 1701 in the treasury. I will build the temple myself. Requires 10 workers. I will give a small donation to build the temple. 250 gold. Check. I will give a medium donation to. I will give a large donation. I will not finance the. Next button. You give small donation. The clerics are grateful and the construction of the temple attracts peasants. Next button. In walks in a group of magicians. After all the formal greetings, you find out that this group of magicians wish to expand their magical library. I know a few scholars that can get this accomplished. Give a large donation, 1,000. I will. Next button. I will not finance the library. Next button. You decide not to finance the library. Next button. Next button. That concludes all the business for today. The noble Jensa approaches you. He looks at you and says, one final question, Christopher. Ellipsis. Next button. Have you given any thought who you might vote for in the governor election? Ujensa, radio button, checked. 1 of myself, Ujensa, radio button. Anyone, but Ujensa, radio button. I haven't really thought about it. Next button. Excellent. Next button. Excellent. Next button. Jensa's review. Jensa thinks your prospects as a ruler look great. He leaves. Next button. A guard enters. Sir, this letter was left for you. Next button. Hello. You do not know who I am, but I know of you. I am not sure if you are aware, but there are plots to overthrow the king. In fact, I have some information that could prove vital if you wish to buy it from me for 500 gold pieces. Gold in treasury, 1451. Next button. What a mysterious letter. Ellipsis. Do you plan to go? Yes. Radio button. Check. No. Radio button. Unchecked. Next button. No. Show stats button. No. It sounds sketchy or possibly it's a trap. Best not to take any chances. Next button. You still have plenty of time left. What would you like to do? Upgrade a building. Radio button. Checked. Learn from your advisor. Go to bed. Radio button. Next button. Learn from your advisor. Radio button. Go. Next button. Your advisor only has time to go over one skill for today. What would you like to study? Your current stats. Leadership 2, Strength 0, Agility 2, Stealth 0, Diplomacy 0. Diplomacy, Intelligence, Leadership, Strength, Radio button, Intelligence, Radio button, unchecked, 6 of 6. Intelligence, next button. You spend the rest of the day training. Next button. You still have plenty of time left. What would you like to do? Upgrade a building. Radio button. Learn from your advisor. Go to bed. Upgrade a building. Radio button. Go to bed. Next button. You go to see your master builder. Ellipsis. Next button. You go. Next button. Next button. Text field. Next. Leave. Radio button. The castle. 250. The walls. 100. You decide to perform some upgrades. Since you have less than 10 workers, you can only select one structure to upgrade. The castle. 250 GP. Checked. Leave. Radio button. Next button. You upgrade the castle. Next button. You still have plenty of time left. What would you like? Upgrade a building. Learn from your advisor. Dimmed. Go to bed. Radio button. Check. Next button. It is midnight. Fall asleep. Radio button. Checked. 1 of 2. Go outside the castle to meet with the person behind the next button. You decide to go to bed. Next button. Next button. Text. Next. Do not trade with him. Radio button. Send. The next day you find out that a Galmencia trader wishes to do business with you. Send merchants to negotiate a trade. Requires 8 merchants. Dimmed. Radio button. Unchecked. 1 of 2. Unchecked. Unchecked. Do not trade with him. Radio button. Checked. Next button. You decide not to trade with him. Next button. You hear commotion outside. Ellipsis. Look outside. Radio button. Checked. 1 of 2. Look outside. Next button. It's just some peasants singing. Apparently they are happy enough with your rule to sing in the streets. Ellipsis. Next button. It's just some peasants singing. Apparently they are happy enough with your rule. Next button. Months pass without much incident. You take the time to learn more about your kingdom and its people. Next button. The peasant population appears to be happy with your rule. Jobs are plentiful and the land is peaceful once again. Next button. The merchant Edward of Thornberry's endeavor to make your castle the center of trade between the kingdom of Magencia and Galmencia has proven to be a complete failure. With little to no funds to build a trading post, Edward has abandoned his project to make your castle the center of trade. Rumor has it that he has left to see another lord who may be more willing to support his endeavor. As a result, several merchants have left your castle in promise of more profitable enterprises. Next button. The endeavor to make the land more farmable has been very successful. The funds you provided has allowed the farmers to hire workers to drain the swamp bogs. News spreads throughout the kingdom and as a result many peasants have flocked to the kingdom looking for work. It has, however, upset many of the druids in the land since they consider the swamps to be sacred. As a result, the majority of them have left your kingdom. A few magicians have grumbled as well since the swamplands are the main source of magical ingredients throughout the land. However, most decide to stay due to the potential growth this influx of peasants can have on the kingdom. Next button. Next. You hear from a group of traveling merchants that there has been news of barbarian hordes attacking small castles near the border of Galmencia. Next button. 25 guards. 20 military units. 5 workers. 0 merchants. 34 civilian units. Castle, kingdom, show stats button. Civilian units. 20 farmers. 5 military units. 20 militia. 20 militia. Military units. 20 militia. 5 unique. 0 druids. Unique units. 1 other. 6 rule is secure. 12 high taxes. Higher knights. 1 higher merchants. 50 GP. Higher farmers. 10 GP. Higher 10 farmers. 100. Higher magicians. 200 GP. Higher archers. 75 GP. Higher 5 archers. 300. Higher workers. 25 GP. Radio button. Higher 5 workers. 125 GP. Higher workers. 25 GP. Higher. Done. Next button. Done. Done. Next button. New taxes have been collected. You have 2,221 now in the next button. You have 2,221 now in the treasury. Next button. Next. Next button. No taxes. Radio button. Unchecked. 4. Next. Note. Low. Medium. High. What should the tax rate be? High taxes. Radio button. Check. Medium taxes. Radio button. Low. No taxes. Next button. We will have medium taxes. Next button. An older lady of nobility approaches your court and bows respectfully. She states that many of the peasants do not have proper housing and are forced to sleep outside in the cold. She states even those who have money to pay for rent cannot due to the fact that many of the inns are full or are charging exorbitant prices to take advantage. Build temporary housing for the peasants to live in, requires 10 workers. Purchase land from nobles in order for the peasants to build their own homes, 250 GP. Radio button. Offer gold to the innkeepers to lower the rent and to expand, 100 gold. Radio button. Unchecked, 3 of 6. Build temporary housing for the peasants to live in, requires 10 workers. Dimmed. Radio button. Unchecked. Unchecked. Purchase land from nobles in order for the peasants to build their own home. Checked. Force the owners of the offer to conscript. Force the owners of the offer to conscript many of the homeless into your army. Radio button. Unchecked. 506. Check. Tell her there is nothing you can do. Radio. Next button. Next. Next button. You take advantage of the situation and conscript many new recruits. Next button. The rest of the day is rather uneventful. Ellipsis. You begin to grow bored. Ellipsis. Next button. Suddenly a guard busts through the door. He is covered in blood. Ellipsis. So much for boring. Next button. My liege, we are soon to be under attack. Ellipsis. A horde of barbarians is heading this way. They have already destroyed one of our farms. Get everyone inside the castle walls. Ellipsis. NOW. Requires leadership. Radio button. Checked. 1 of 2. Checked. Gather the troops. Radio button. Unchecked. 2 of 2. Next. Text field. Next button. You tell your guards to gather the troops. You arm a few peasants with spears. Next button. One of your guards. Show stats. One of your guards yells from the wall. I see them. Ellipsis. There must be dozens of them. Ellipsis. Maybe more. A few peasants are running this way. Ellipsis. But if we don't close the gates, the enemy will soon be upon us. Close the gates. Radio button. Checked. 1. Leave the gates open until everyone is inside. Close the gates. Radio button. Check. Leave. Next button. Your guard reluctantly closes the gates. Some peasants are caught and unable to get inside. The barbarians are soon upon them, but at least the enemy has not breached our wall. You look outside and see a horde of at least 50 barbarians. What do? Open the gates and have everyone charge. Radio button. Check. Defend the wall. Radio button. Open the gates and have everyone charge. Defend. Next button. Your men fight valiantly and several of the barbarians retreat. However, the enemy soon regroups to attack again. What do? Your army. 35 10 men, 0 knights, 0 5 2. The enemy have send a wave of militia to send a knight into the fray. Send a wave of militia to attack the barbarians. Requires 10 militia. Radio button. Have destroy their surrender. Radio. Destroy their battering ram and finish them off. Requires all or most. Retreat into the castle. Destroy their battering ram and finish them off. Requires all or most of the barbarians to be killed. Dimmed. Radio button. Unchecked. Set. Wait. Radio button. Next button. The militia is quickly slaughtered, but not before they take down a couple barbarians. The barbarians attack your gate, doing 1 damage. Next button. What do? Your army. 10 0 0 magician 5 archers 1. The enemy have your archers fire a volley. Requires archers. Requires defenses to be up. Radio button. Checked. 1 of 9. Send a wave of guards into the fray. Requires 10 guards. Radio button. Unchecked. 2. Have peasants retreat into the castle. Radio. Destroy their battering. Surrender. Radio button. Wait. Next button. Though the barbarians' weapons may be primitive, their fighting skills are superior. Your men are slaughtered as a result, but not before they take a few of the enemy soldiers down with them. The barbarians attack your gate, doing 1 damage. Next button. Have your archers fire a volley. Requires archers. Requires defenses to be up. Uncheck. Set. Charge. Destroy their battering ram. Surrender. Wait. Next button. Next button. Text field. Next. The militia is quickly slaughtered, but not before they take down a couple barbarians. Next button. Next. Have your archers fire a volley. Send a wave of guards into the fray. Send a knight into the fray. Requires 1 knight. Dimmed. Radio button. Unchecked. Send a wave of militia to attack the barbarians. Charge them by yourself. Requires defenses to be down. Radio button. Unchecked. Check. Retreat into the castle. Destroy their battering ram. Surrender. Radio button. Wait. Radio button. Next button. You actually show stats. You actually managed to kill a couple, but are soon overpowered. Clearly these barbarians are better warriors than you. Next button. 5 archers. 0. The enemy have your archers fire a volley. Have your archers fire. Send a wave of charge. Retreat into the castle. Destroy their battering ram and finish them off. Requires all or most of the barbarians to be unchecked. Surrender. Radio. Destroy their battering ram and unchecked. Surrender. Radio button. Unchecked. Wait. Next button. Next button. No. Radio button. Yes. Are you sure you want to surrender? Yes. No. Radio button. Yes. Radio button. No. Next button. The barbarian leader walks up to you with his axe drawn. Ellipsis. The last thing you see is him smiling as he slashes down at you. Next button. Game over. You have died or lost control of your kingdom. Calculating score. Ellipsis. Next button. The game is over. End button. Text field. End button. Swampcast. Closing games for. Screen recording in progress button.